Hello, welcome to the Management Channel. In this section, we're going to look at workplace emotions, attitudes, and stress. So we're going to discover how emotions influence both attitudes and behavior. We're going to take a look at the dynamics of emotional labor, examine the consequences of job dissatisfaction and the strategy to increase organizational commitment, and we're going to take a look at the concept of stress in the workplace. So what is really the definition of emotions? It's the physiological, behavioral, and psychological episodes experienced toward an object, a person, or event that creates a state of readiness. Most emotions occur without our awareness. There are two features of all emotions. All have some degrees of activation. All have a core effect, evaluating that something is good or bad. Attitudes is a cluster of beliefs, assessed feelings, and behavioral intentions towards a person, object, or event. Attitudes have traditionally been described as a purely rational process in which beliefs predict feelings, which predict behavioral intentions, and which predict behavior. Thus, emotions influence our behavior. There are two dimensions of emotions: evaluation and activation. For example, fearful is a negative emotion that generates a high level of activation. On the other hand, relaxed is a pleasant emotion that has a fairly low activation. So I'm going to give you a moment here to take a look at this chart showing the types of different emotions, evaluations, and activations with low and high, positive and negative. Pause if you need to. Attitudes are judgment about an attitude object. Emotions are experiences related to an attitude object. Attitudes are basically mained on rational logic. Emotions are based on innate and learned responses to the environment. Attitudes are usually stable for days or longer. Emotions are usually experienced for seconds or less. Traditionally believed to be purely cognitive approach. What are beliefs? Beliefs are established perception of an attitude object. What are feelings? Feelings are a calculation of good or bad based on belief about the attitude object. And behavioral intentions, they're calculated motivation to act in response to the attitude object. Problem is, the traditional model of attitudes ignores the important role of emotions in shaping those attitudes. Emotions influence attitudes because feelings and beliefs are influenced by cumulative emotional responses or episodes, not just evaluation of beliefs. Potential conflict between cognitive and emotional processes exists. Emotions also directly affect our behavior, that is, our facial expressions, our body language, our voice tone even. To create positive emotions at work creates happier employees, better productivity, less waste, emotional input for different improvements in the organization, less turnover, less absenteeism, and a more positive workplace attitude. Cognitive dissonance is a condition that occurs when we perceive an inconsistency between our beliefs, our feelings, and our behavior. This inconsistency generates emotions like feeling hypocritical that motivate us to increase consistency. It's easier to increase consistency by changing feelings and beliefs rather than changing your behavior, because your feelings and your beliefs influence your behavior. Some experience positive emotions just naturally, and therefore they have a higher emotional stability, and they tend to be extroverted. Some experience negative emotions and tend to have higher neuroticism or lower emotional stability, and thus are pretty much introverted. So defining emotional labor, it's the effort, planning, and control needed to express organizationally desired emotions through interpersonal transactions. higher-end job requiring frequent lengthy emotion display, frequent and longer interactions with clients. A variety of emotions display, anger as well as joy, and intense emotions display, showing delight or surprise. Emotional labor across cultures is different, and it varies across cultures. For example, there's minimal emotional expression and more of a monotonic voice in Ethiopia, Japan, and Austria. Encourage open display of true emotions is available in Kuwait, Egypt, Spain, Russia. People are expected to be dramatic and animated there. It's difficult to display expected emotions accurately and to hide true emotions. Emotional dissonance is a conflict between your true and your required emotions. You may not feel very good about something, but you're expected to look pleased about it. It's more stressful when surface acting, but it's less stressful with deep acting. Surface acting is pretending to show the required emotions, but continuing to hold on to different feelings inside. Deep acting is changing true emotions to match the emotions that are required at the time. Is this easy to do? Not always. When you feel offended or angered, it's hard to pretend that you're happy and not bothered by whatever took place. Emotional intelligence is a set of abilities to perceive and express your emotion, assimilate emotion and thought, understand and reason with emotion, and then regulate that emotion in oneself and trying to do so in others. Recent research developed four-dimension model representing recognition of emotions in both ourselves and in others. One is awareness of own emotions, the ability to perceive and understand the meaning of your own emotions. Management of your own emotions, your ability to manage those emotions, keeping disruptive emotions in check and not displayed. Awareness of others' emotions is the ability to perceive and understand the emotions of others, your fellow workers and your employees. And your management of other emotions is difficult. It's the ability to console people who are sad or grief and inspiring team members to complete a project on time, to get strangers to feel comfortable working with you, etc. That's the management of others' emotions. The hierarchy of emotional intelligence is, at the lowest end, it's your self-awareness, perceiving and understanding the meaning of your own emotions. Self-management, managing of our own emotions. Awareness of others' emotions, perceiving and understanding the meaning of their emotions. And at the highest level, management of others' emotions. Managing, motivating, and stimulating the other workers or your teammates. The ability to manage your emotions as well as others is a skill set of abilities. It can be improved by coaching and training. And again, it also, believe it or not, improves naturally with age and maturity. It's all based on your experience. Job satisfaction is a person's evaluation of how his or her job and work context. It's an appraisal of perceived job characteristics, work environment, and the emotional experiences at work, which are also important. Most American employees say they are satisfied with their job. Probably inflated somewhat because revealing that you're dissatisfied with your job is a direct question that threatens your self-esteem. So the exit, voice, loyalty, neglect responses. Exit, leaving the situation, quitting or transferring. Voice, changing the situation, doing some problem solving or complaining. Loyalty, patiently waiting for the situation to improve. And neglect is reducing your work or your effort or your quality and increasing your absenteeism. Exit, voice, loyalty, neglect model identifies 4 ways employees respond to dissatisfaction. The exit theory. Leaving the situation by resigning from the organization or transferring to another job, or at least trying to get away. Voice theory is any attempt to change rather than escape from that dissatisfying situation. For example, it could be a constructive response, such as recommending a way to improve the situation, or by being a little more confrontational, such as filing a formal grievance. The loyalty theory is pretty much just being loyal to the job and patiently waiting for the situation to improve while hoping for the improvement at the same time. And the neglect theory, passive activities that have negative consequences for the organization, like reducing your work effort, not paying attention to quality, and calling off sick more often. Job satisfaction and performance, happy workers are somewhat more productive workers, but general attitude is a poor predictor of specific behaviors. Job satisfaction effect on performance is lower when employees have less control over their output. Reverse explanation, job performance affects satisfaction, but only when rewarded. In the service profit chain model, it's a theory explaining how employees' job satisfaction influences company profitability indirectly through service quality, customer loyalty, and related factors. Job satisfaction increases customer satisfaction and profitability mainly because it affects the mood, leading to positive behaviors from you to the customer. It also reduces employee turnover, resulting in a more consistent and familiar service. Affective commitment. It's an emotional attachment to or identification with and involvement in a particular organization. It's the employee's feeling of loyalty to the place where he or she works. Continuance commitment is a calculative attachment to the organization. This is whereas an employee is motivated to stay only because leaving would be too costly by quitting. The employee chooses to stay because the value, which is typically financial, of staying is higher than the value of working somewhere else or facing unemployment. There are several ways to improve organizational commitment. The most popular are the trust and support method. You apply humanitarian values and you support your employees' well-being. The shared value model is where you value congruence. Organizational comprehension method is knowing the firm's past, present, and future, and allowing for open and rapid communication, keeping your employees informed. The employee involvement method is probably one of the best ones because the employees feel part of the company. Their involvement demonstrates trust and respect. Now let's look at stress. What is stress? Well, it's an adaptive response to situations perceived as being challenging or threatening to our well-being. It helps prepare us to adapt to hostile or noxious environmental conditions. For instance, your heart rate increases, your muscles tighten, your breathing might speed up, and now your body is releasing adrenaline. There's a term called eustress, and eustress versus distress is, eustress is a level of stress that is a necessary part of life. It activates and motivates people to achieve their goals, change their environments, and succeed in life's challenges, which is a positive type of stress. Distress is a degree of physiological, psychological, and behavioral deviation from what we know as healthy functioning. What are the consequences of stress? Well, there's the general adaptation syndrome, the model of the stress experience consisting of 3 stages: alarm, reaction, resistance, and exhaustion. Alarm reaction is a threat or challenge activates physiological stress responses. Resistance activates biochemical, psychological, and behavioral mechanisms, giving the individual more energy and more coping mechanisms to overcome or remove that source of stress. The body reduces resources to the immune system, however. Exhaustion, usually able to remove the stressor or remove ourselves before becoming too exhausted. People who frequently reach exhaustion have increased risk of long-term physiological and psychological damage. Physiological would be the cardiovascular disease, hypertension, headaches. Behavioral would be work performance, accidents, absenteeism, aggression, poor decisions. And psychological would be dissatisfaction, moodiness, depression, and emotional fatigue. These are all consequences of stress. Job burnout. That's the process of emotional exhaustion, the depersonalization of yourself, and reduced personal accomplishment resulting from prolonged exposure to stress. Stage 1 is emotional exhaustion. You have a lack of energy. Stage 2 is cynicism. You have an indifferent attitude toward work, an emotional detachment, and you just strictly follow the rules and do what's needed to get by. Stage 3 is reduced personal accomplishment. Diminished confidence, that is, you've learned helplessness. Stressors are the cause of stress. They're an environmental condition that places a physical or emotional demand on the employee. Some common workplace stressors include harassment, work overload, or low task control. The three most common work-related stressors are psychological harassment, which is repeated and hostile or unwanted conduct, verbal comments, actions, or gestures that affect an employee's dignity or his psychological or physical integrity, and that results in a harmful work environment for that employee. Behaviors ranging from threats and bullying to subtle yet persistent forms of incivility. Second most cause is sexual harassment, believe it or not. Unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature that detrimentally affects the work environment or leads to adverse job-related consequences for its victims. Quid pro quo harassment, employee or job performance is conditional on unwanted sexual relations. The third most common is work overload and task control stressors, working more hours more intensely than one can cope with. Task control. Due to lack of control over how and when tasks are performed, stress increases with the responsibility that's given to you. People experience different stress levels when exposed to the same stressor. Not everybody reacts the same. Individual differences that minimize distress are better physical health with regular exercise and a healthy lifestyle, better coping strategies, seeking support from others, refraining from that stressor in a more positive light, and personality, possibly the most important reason. Extroversion, interacting with others, degree of positive thinking, positive self-control, having a high self-esteem, and internal locus of control. Workaholism attracts stressors and weakens your ability to cope. A workaholic is a person who is highly involved in work, feels compelled to work, and has a low enjoyment of their work. They also feel like only they can get the job done. So the best thing to do is remove the stressor, assigning employees to jobs that match more to their skills and preferences, reducing all the workplace noise, having a complaint system, and then taking actual corrective action based on those complaints submitted. Give an employee more control over the work process and more involvement. Empower them. And try to offer work-life balance initiatives that are flexible and limited work time, job sharing, teleworking, personal leave, child care support, and the like. Withdraw from the stressor permanently by transferring to a job with a better fit. Temporarily withdrawing by taking a vacation, a holiday. Change your stress perceptions. Improve self-concept, personal goal setting, and add humor to your life. One thing that I did every day going to work was I listened to the Comedy Channel. It helped me get in a better mood by the time I got to work, even with the highway traffic, and listening to it on the way home relieved my day and made me more comfortable when I got home, and therefore not taking any stress out on my family. Control your stress consequences and do physical exercise. Meditate. Try a wellness program or seek out an employee assistant program. That's all we got. Hope you understand stress is very important in your life, and life is too short to be unhappy. So remove the stressors. Have a great day.